Cobalt snout's only clitty high. How do they possibly make babies with her? I mean, she's almost 3 times their height. Well, as always, let's jump into the mating manual and figure it out. And all this lore is coming from the world where my manga's The Night of Slaughter and Devil's Deal takes place in. And for the last time, my mangas aren't gooner bait. And whenever we're talking about size differences, we're not just talking about a height, we're talking about meat mallets, because this is a normal person's and this is a kobold. So even standing on 10 toes tall creates a height difference, but nothing like a meat mallet difference. This is a normal person's, this is the resting position of a kobold slingy-slong. And much like a slinky, as soon as it gets into the fun zone, it expands and then it shoots. And yes, you are looking at this right. There are actually 4 testicles that are underneath the skin in a kobold. So it can literally shoot and then it sprays as it gets small again. So it's actually like being in a classroom that's actually just a small tunnel with a bunch of super soakers just coating everything you can with your friends. Because as I always like to remind you, this is the height of these guys. These guys are like 2.5, 3 feet tall. And yet this is a 1 liter soda bottle. And this is the amount of cream for the scream you're getting per shot. So quite impressive for such a species of small stature. But yet, how do they mount up to actually be able to shoot in? Whenever we talk about foreplay with kobolds, there's actually some situations where while they definitely don't do it human style, they do actually play games. The first game is simply called Chase, where a female will start running around the camp, letting out a call, and then a bunch of males will chase her, and if they can catch her, they'll jump on her back and lightly nip at her. No, it does not hurt her, as she tries to pull them off, and when she's done playing, she'll actually assume the position, which is like downward dog, and let the males who actually jumped on her take top position. Another one is called kobold kicking. And kobold kicking is when a female at some point in the day will go and just urinate on a kobold, which is a pup. And then she'll go to the kobold mother, which is basically the person in charge of all the pregnant kobold women in the camp, and they'll let out a call to basically go find the peed on kobold. And then if they bring back the right one, then she'll let them take top priority. And so I keep on talking about priority and best position. So what are these positions? So let's talk about the 3 positions of priority. And this is a female kobold. This is the downward dog. The best position possible is literally green. It is where a kobold will literally sit on her buttocks and literally go and insert from the top of the vaginal cavern. This allows him the best opportunity to be able to get his cream all the way to the back of the vaginal cave and hit the cervix, which will give him direct access and not have to go through the left or right cervical chambers and potentially have his little spermies, you know, gas chambered in a really, really horrific way. And second preferred position is Mr. Blue here, where he's literally trying to jump up on the cheeks, standing usually on 1 foot, trying to insert from the center position. And he will usually end up hitting around the center position of the vaginal cave with his little mustard men. But the problem with this position is the fact that he is usually fighting with 6 or 7 other males in order to basically be able to get in center position and shoot. All these guys are usually going in at once. They don't stroke. It's literally they go in, they extend, and shoot. So position 2 is literally the most contested. But by far the worst position is position 3, Mr. Redman. Literally laying on the ground underneath her and trying to basically have his hips go up enough to allow him to hit the bottom of the vaginal cave. While you may be saying, oh, position 3 looks like the funnest. I get to get crushed under this. Number 1, this is a big size and thus weight difference. And usually he's also not alone. There are usually 5 to 10 kobolds fighting for these 3 positions at once. 5 to 10 of the springy sprongs trying to go into the cave at once. But there is also a downside for positions 2 and 3. So position 3 has the hardest time literally hitting the opening here. Period. End of story. He's a little guy trying to do a lot of yoga to get into this. And based on the breeding team's observation, 47% of the time, position 3 will literally not even get into the hole and end up just shooting all in this area and shooting on position 2. But position 3 isn't out of the bucket because guess what? There's a lot of drippage coming out because there's a lot of goo coming down. So usually they will get coated in males 1 and 2, all their goo falls down onto him as soon as it leaves the cave. So everyone's getting a little bit of the seasoning sauce, if you know what I mean. But did you know that kobolds participate in post-mating care? But we'll touch on that later. If you want to see the mating manual in development, grab a Ruby Gold sub or get an original character into the lore by grabbing a diamond. As a reminder, we do have physical copies of the Night of Slaughter and Devil's Deal.